could you tell us a little bit about Matthew Shepard and what the organization does?
Sure. Matt Shepard was a 21-year-old man who was at school at the University of Wyoming in Laramie in 1998. He's the eldest son of Judy and Dennis Shepard, who were your typical sort of all-American oil town family living in Wyoming. Growing up, he had a pretty normal life for a nerdy gay kid. He was really big into theater, did a lot of local productions for, I can't remember what shows he was in, but did, one or two a year, and was really just the nice kid in the neighborhood. Around the time that he was sort of 14 or 15, his dad Dennis took a job in Saudi Arabia, and so the family moved to Saudi, and Matt was sent off to boarding school in Switzerland. He made some really great friends there who have since become good friends of the foundation that have done a lot of work with us over the years. And that was where he really sort of came into his own and actually came out. It was while he was in school that he came out to both of his parents. But it was also there that his life hit sort of probably the biggest hurdle before, the attack that ended his life. He was in Morocco with some friends on his sort of senior class trip, and one night he went out for a walk around the hotel, and he was grabbed by 6 guys, dragged into an alley, and was gang raped. And that sort of pretty heavily influenced the rest of his life. Throughout college, he suffered from pretty severe depression and ended up dropping out of school for a while. And it was as he was getting his life back on track that he decided that he wanted to move back to Wyoming and go to the University of Wyoming. He'd been in Laramie for about 4 or 5 months when one night after a meeting of the LGBT group on campus, he decided that he wanted to go out for a drink. Tried to convince some other friends to go with him and blow out some steam, but everyone else was either too tired or had homework, and so he ended up going to the bar by himself. While he was at the bar, he had 2 or 3 drinks over the course of the evening, and at one point he started talking to Russell Henderson and Aaron McKinney, who were 2 local guys. The story as we know it is, over the course of the evening, they came up with the idea that they were going to rob him, and under the guise of offering him a ride home, he hopped in the truck with them, and they ended up punching him in the face while in the truck, then kind of knocked him out of the truck while they were out on the side of the highway, pistol whipped him 20-some times, which ultimately smashed his brainstem. They tied his hands behind his back to a fence post and left him basically lying face down and drove off. He was found 18 hours later by another student out there who was out on a mountain bike ride and wiped out. And as he was getting back up, he noticed what he thought was a fallen over scarecrow. And when he went over to look at it, he realized it was Matt. The responding sheriff's deputy, Reggie, she always describes it as she came out and found him, and his head was covered in blood except for 2 clear streaks where his tears had washed the blood off his face. They took him to the hospital in Laramie and eventually moved him down to the Poudre Valley Hospital in Fort Collins, where he never regained consciousness and died 5 nights later on October 12th of 1998. Since then, Judy and Dennis Shepard, as well as his brother Logan, have really made a long-term commitment to the LGBT community to both raise awareness, originally to get straight allies to understand that, even if you're not gay, your kid might be, your nephew might be, anyone in your life could be gay, and this was a possibility that could happen to them, and we needed to make some changes in the way our society thinks about other people. For the last 15 years, Judy's traveled all over the country and spoken at different events, conferences. She's met with world presidents, most recently in Latvia. Then, about 2 years ago, they passed the Matthew Shepard Jamesburg Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act, which finally put into law at the federal level protections for LGBT people, and more severe punishments for bias-motivated crimes. Since then, the foundation continues to work with high schools and colleges for speaking programs, community theater groups putting on the Laramie Project, which was Tectonic Theater Project's play that they developed after interviewing people in Laramie. We provide photographs, letters, resources for those productions so they have a better sense of who the people in Laramie were, as well as to have a better sense of Matt's story. We have our MatthewsPlace.com program, which is the youth resource blog that offers a variety of perspectives as well as resources. And then obviously Judy's speaking program. And that's kind of the bulk of what the foundation does and has done over the last 15 years.
Two pair of shades. We went two pair of shades.
When the morning sunrise got to cover my eyes, 'cause I barely went to bed. I was up all night, double fisting cheese.